Welcome to yet another edition of the Be Real TV Smokebox. I got a very special guest in the Smokebox, our first lady in the Smokebox,
Hey.
Dr. Dina.
Thank you so much for having me. The first lady. This is kind of
You
a
are
huge
the first
honor.
lady of the Smokebox, and let me light you up.
Oh, thank you.
She's rocking the petite funky fill tip while I am rocking the double XL funky fill tip. Bye, Roy. Thank you very much.
This is lovely.
And she's smoking the Tange. I'm smoking the OG. In case you don't know, this is one of the leading activists in the legalization movement, one of the most knowledgeable people on a lot of the legislation going on, especially here in California. And we're honored to have you in the box, Dina.
Thank you so much. I can't take credit for all of this.
From one doctor to another.
Right? One honorary doctor to another.
True that.
True that.
True that. So what
We
got
could start our own medical school, you know.
We could.
I think we
We
should.
could teach people so much.
About weed.
Exactly. What got you started? You know, what got you into the whole movement?
Well, first time I ever smoked weed was actually when I was 15. And I was at my friend's house. And Snoop Dogg came over because my really good friend's father was Snoop's criminal attorney at the time, and Snoop was going through his murder trial.
Which, yeah, that was well publicized.
Well publicized. So I was over at the house, and he came over, and we walked out to give him a tour of the property, and he pulled out a blunt, and he went to go smoke it. And my friend looked at me, and I guess he saw the look on my face of terror. I don't know. I was a goody-goody.
Right.
My friend said, shit, she's going to tattle on us. It's
Oh,
over.
she thought you were
It's
gonna drop
over.
dime, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know, his parents were cool, so I figured I'd be like, hey, you know, they're smoking weed on the basketball court over there.
Right.
And so Snoop was so quick to just say, you, come over here, little girl. And I walked over to him, and he just said, hit that.
Really?
And I did. And then he told me if I tattled, I'd get in trouble along with him.
Shout out to Snoop the Corruptor.
He really did corrupt me because look at me now.
Look at you now.
But then I went into fashion. I had nothing to do with weed. And one day I got a phone call from one of my friends who was diagnosed with cancer. And obviously nobody wants that phone call.
Nobody wants that call.
And
Oh, you got it.
stage 4 cancer, no less. And he wasn't calling me to tell me necessarily he had cancer, but he was calling to tell me that he gave up. He's giving up.
Right.
And he wanted to know if he could borrow a handgun because he
Oh,
wanted to kill
he
himself.
wanted to kill himself.
Yeah. And when I heard that, I mean, my heart just went out for him, and I just said, let me come over right now. And I stopped at a friend's house. I picked up a joint. I had my friend roll up a really nice, big, fat joint for him, and I went over there, and I forced him to smoke the joint. His wife freaked out. She was Swedish.
Huh.
And she left the house, got in the car, and drove down the street.
Because she didn't want to be around
She was
the weed.
afraid that she was going to get arrested or deported or
In
whatever.
her own home.
In her own home.
That's crazy.
A year later. With her husband, of course, who has cancer. So I went over the house, and he was so sick. And he was sitting at the kitchen table, and he was vomiting into a metal pot. And I felt so bad. And I just said, here, try this. And he lit it, and he coughed. And then he stopped heaving. He stopped dry heaving. He stopped throwing up. And he looked at me and was like, give me another hit. So I gave him another hit, and he put it out.
Huh.
20 minutes later, his stomach started to grumble. And he goes, I think I'm hungry. I haven't felt hungry in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so he called his wife. She came back and made him some toast. And he took his chemo that night. And he held it down. And that was the first night that he held his chemo down.
And it was due to the weed.
It was all the weed. So he called me the next day. Said, I need more weed. And I said, I don't really feel comfortable, you know, picking up weed and driving it around because it's illegal. So we need to figure out a way for you to get this. Because I know that it's legal in California for medicinal use. But there were no doctors out in Southern California. There was no one to talk to. It was the internet.
There was no information.
But there was no information. So I had to go online, and there was really nothing online because people were so quiet about it. People were scared. And I found one posting that said that there was a doctor's clinic in San Francisco.
Right.
It was like a Friday afternoon. I drove my friend up north about, 6 hours of him throwing up in my car because I wouldn't let him smoke in my car. And we got to the doctor's office, and my poor friend was so weak he couldn't stand, and the line was around the block 3 times.
Wow.
So I left and I went to Office Depot, and I bought a chair with wheels, and I
Wheeled
put
it
it
in.
together on the curb, and I stuck it in the chair, and I pushed him down the street, And 3 hours later, we went to see this doctor who had crazy long dreads and reeked of patchouli oil. And I'm like, are you sure you're a doctor?
Hippie doctor.
Total hippie doctor. And he wrote this note out for my friend within like 10 minutes of seeing him. I said, can I get one too? And he goes, what's wrong with you? And I said, I was in a car accident in 2002. I have a bad back. He goes, done, and writes me a note. I'm like, I feel like I'm a new person. This is the most amazing feeling ever. I said, why do I have to come to San Francisco? When we live in LA, there are so many sick people in LA. What could we do to help the people in LA? He goes, well, I want an open office. Would like to open an office there. However, I don't know anybody in LA.
Bingo.
I'm like, hey, you know me.
So that's what opened the door for you.
And I just said, let me open an office. I had no money. So I lied to him. I said, here's the address of our new office. Come on down. And I gave him the address to the Radisson Hotel in Santa Monica in West Hollywood. And I started a clinic in the lobby of this hotel for 6 weeks until the manager of the hotel came up to me and said, I know what you're doing.
Fuck are you doing, young lady?
Well, I see you with your clipboard and you're saying, are you here for the hotel? Please go to the right. For the doctor's office, please go to the left. And I'd have a doctor there writing notes. He said, I'm making so much money when you're here at the bar and in valet parking. You can stay. I'll give you a conference room. That's fine.
Wow.
And so we stayed there for maybe another month or two. We grew out of it.
Yeah, of
and
course.
we ended up opening up our office on Sunset. And from there, I said, where are they going to buy their weed? Their medicine. They can't get their cannabis from the corner. It's illegal still.
Yeah.
They can't go to the park. Why should they just go to a drug dealer because there's one type? Let's open a dispensary. And so I started researching the laws. I went to the city of West Hollywood. I explained the need.
Right.
Especially now, West Hollywood happens to be a very gay-friendly city.
Yeah.
And with that comes a lot of AIDS and HIV patients.
A lot of sick people.
And we have a lot of them in West Hollywood.
Right.
So the city was really wonderful. And they said, how can we... I think I need your lighter. Thank you. They said, how can we... I said, how can we open up a shop, make it legal, let's do this right? And they said, well, we don't really know. This is kind of unusual, but let's figure this out. So we brought our friend down from San Francisco who had a shop.
Right.
And he explained how they were doing it in San Francisco. We basically...
Which is very progressive.
Very progressive. We mimicked those laws, which LA County has never been able to do to this date.
Yeah.
And even with the pre-ICO that's just happening...
Which they should.
They should. But even pre-ICO isn't permitted.
Right.
It's not protected. They can still get shut down.
Yeah, they can still.
And that's what we need to do in LA County and other states is really get their stores to be permitted so they can't be taken away from them.
Do you think the reason why, Denver went ahead before California as far as legalization and really opening it up to what they're doing down there, do you think it was lack of awareness down here? What do you think it was that stopped us? Because I think we were...
Oh, well, California did it to ourselves.
Well, yeah,
you know this.
For sure.
Look at Northern California, the Emerald Triangle. Look at all the growers who are donating money to not legalize cannabis in California.
That was the worst fuckery ever.
I mean, that's what people don't realize. That a lot of people that are voting against the legalization are actually people in the marijuana industry that are growing.
You hit it on the money because there was an activist that came down to the Jack Herrera Awards a couple of years ago, and he was going to be given a Lifetime Achievement Award, and his main basis for being there besides that was to educate people on SB 19 and to get people to rally to vote for it. Instead, he went and told people not to vote for it. So it caused that confusion. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a part of the reason, because he's one of those guys.
Absolutely.
A part of that whole triangle.
They have too much money to lose if it goes legalized, and they don't want Big Brother getting involved in their facilities.
The problem is that they fucked off every Californian for that, for their own purposes.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Because realistically, yeah, okay, it may fuck with you because you got to pay these taxes and your under the table money is gone. But guess what? You live in a state that the economy is busted. And
it's not the dispensaries that are against it.
No, it's not.
The dispensaries
it's the growers.
are already paying taxes.
It's some of the growers.
It's the growers. It's exactly.